Here's a classic game you can make for your family to play. This nostalgic game is called Shoot the Moon. Let me show you how I made this. I built this game around the steel rods that the ball rolls up on. The length of rod that I could find was 3 feet, so I got 2 rods and cut them down to 12-inch lengths. After cutting the pieces, I sanded down the ends so I didn't have any burrs that would catch. I wanted to use a nail for the pivot point for the rods, so the first thing I had to do was make a counter punch hole to have a place for my bit to get a bite on. I drilled these with the hand drill and put a little bit of oil on them to keep the cutting edge cool. I used a finish nail for the pivot point on the rods, so I grabbed a drill bit that was slightly larger than the nail because the rods have to go uphill just a little bit from one end of the game to the next. I used 3/4 inch lumber to make this with. The small end I cut 1 3/4 inches tall by 2 1/4 inches wide. I marked the slot for where the rods will be. That slot was 1 1/4 inches wide and just a 1/2 inch up from the bottom edge of the piece. The other end of the game I made 1 7/8 inches tall by 5 inches wide. The slot on that one I measured off 3 7/8 inches wide. The long slot will be on the top of the piece, and again a 1/2 inch down from the top on the center of the slot. So to cut both of my slots, I used a 3/8 inch bit and drilled through the ends of the slot. After I had the ends pre-drilled, I took a jigsaw and cut out the slots on both ends. I thought it was a lot safer to make these slots, cut them out, and then I cut my pieces to length. I pre-drilled the holes where the nails would go. Made it a lot easier. I didn't have to worry about the wood splitting out. For the main body of the piece, the bottom of it, I cut the boards to 1 3/4 inches wide and 11 3/4 inches long. The steel ball that I used for these games was a 1-inch steel ball, so the holes that I drilled for them was 1 1/8 diameter hole. I marked off had enough room to put 6 holes and 1.5 inches on center. The next step, I took a torch and did a slight burn to the wood. Next, it was time to begin assembly. The pre-drilled holes was just right to push the nails through and line up the holes in the end of the rods and get the nails sunk down into place. I designed it so the nails came up through the bottom, so after it was all assembled, the nails basically were hidden. With the slot on the small end toward the bottom, and the slot on the wide end toward the top, this gave the ramp about 1 inch fall that the steel ball is going to have to climb. The ends I simply glued into place and put a clamp on them until the glue set up. I used a water-based finish to seal this with. I didn't want to get anything on the rods, so I've put a straw over them to help protect them and keep them clean. We used a vinyl cutting machine to cut out the numbers for the score and fasten them to the wood. 0 for the first hole, and then 25 points for the next one, 50, 100, 250, and 500 for the last one. When I fastened the wide end, I did go ahead and glue it, and I put a couple of nails in to hold it while the glue was setting up. I wanted a good, durable, hard finish on it, and I wanted the vinyl letters to be sealed and protected as well. So the final coat that I put on it was some epoxy. Brushing it on isn't really the way to apply epoxy, but it did work pretty good. I found some felt to line the holes with where the balls will drop into. So the first thing I did was grab something that was about the right size and marked it off, and then cut out the circles. The tricky part was, after you get the adhesive paper off the back, was getting them lined up in the bottom of the hole before the adhesive stuck on everything. I will admit we had a lot of fun with these. Grandkids took right to them when we all got together. This works really nice for something fun to do as a family. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe got an idea or two for something you guys can do. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, go ahead and do so. Hit that button and ring the bell so you know when the next video comes out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.